Hmm. Hello? Hey. Can you guys see this or nah? Sorry if it's a bit kind of eh. Just trying to get this last little bit cleaned up. There we go. I think that's okay. Hang on. Oh, because usually it can go down to here anyways. Right. Man, organizing this stuff is tricky. If I go here and go up to here, man, it's just getting that window size down, eh? There you go. Sup, hi everybody, how you doing? There's Jacob, and then there's also Blood Dinner Box. We'll get that set up so that you guys can see that as well. Hopefully you're well. Just trying to get this sorted. I haven't got the queue open yet because I want to just set this up first. And also just maybe talk. I don't know. It's good to talk to people, eh? Here we go. And then we got a queue. Here we are, and that could be 260. Yeah. And that one. No, it's not big enough, is it? Yeah, that's a little bit tricky. So it probably needs to be 240. How about now? Sup, sweetly love. How you doing? Yeah, that'll do. Yeah, that'll be good. I'm sure people will be able to see that. And we'll get you guys up on the screen here as well, nice and big. Nice. I think that's good. Here we are. Yeah. Sweet. Cool. So I'll do my intro and then we'll get into it. It's been a while since I did this, a few weeks. Sup, Shredders. My name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SB live streams where today we're doing SB song requests number 6, number 15. And we're here today to review some of your songs that you'd like us to check out. If we switch over to here, we've got the main chat screen here. Sup, Dr. Theo. It's been a few weeks. I'm not going to get into why that was. It's irrelevant because we're here now and that's what counts. I suppose we're here now. How are you all today? Are you guys having a good weekend so far? I'll check Discord now. We'll have a look at that. I'll get that out of the screen. Put that over here. That's very big, isn't it? Yeah. I'll check the question now. Sweet. So for anyone who's unfamiliar, there's several questions that are being asked, so I'm going to do them in order. So I just want to take my time with these questions now. Why SB Discord? The Windows is bugged now. The window is bugged. So if I go to Discord and I move that out, there's nothing here that I think is going to be super groundbreaking. Okay, so there is a MV that I want to give you a reaction, but it is a microfilming shooting technique, 7 minutes in length, and there is a pause in the middle system plot. Are you willing to react? So with the song requests, with these live streams, okay, with these live streams, the max length of a song is 5 minutes. So if the song is over 5 minutes, I can't listen through the whole thing in a request. This is so that we can get through multiple requests in a live stream so that we don't, for example, have someone like putting through like a 20-minute request or something like that. There's just that kind of time limit there. So I've just seen that. So hopefully that answers that. People can send through requests as long as they're up to 5 minutes. And at this stage, just to avoid confusion, they're $5 each. So even if the songs are like 2 parts, it's like per thing. And so the reason that I say it's per thing is because if I was to, for example, if someone put 2 requests through and now 2 different tracks and they were like 2.5 minutes each, but then I treated like another situation as 1 track if it was 5 minutes. It's just trying to keep it fair for everyone, you know? So yeah, basically, to answer questions, there's a max time limit of 5 minutes, and it is a request per song. Per song. Yeah. Yeah, Kofi has probably been up to message. Kofi's been up to mischief probably, I would assume. Yeah. So it's basically just I've opened up the queue now, by the way. But it's just per song. It's the amount it is. And if you want them to go one after another, then you just put them through separately. I know it's probably a bit of a pain in the butt, but it just avoids confusion about how much people need to pay per thing. So yeah. But yeah, that's basically it. So yeah, thank you for your feedback. Great to hear. So Sweet Lily Love says the weekend hasn't quite started here yet. Here. Well, hopefully you do have a nice weekend when it comes. And Dr. Theo, sorry, you asked a question about the 2 songs in one request. It was meant to listen to together as long as it's 5 minutes. Like the first song is meant to be the intro to the second song. I understand the vibe though, the approach. Like I understand why we might want to put them together. I totally get that. That makes sense to me. It's just the situation as is. Yeah. Oh. Okay, if I go up, does that go down? Can I go up here? I can. There we go. That's the dealio. That's what we want. But then is that cutting that off? You guys have... No, it's fine. It's okay. It's okay. Anyways, putting that back, I'll stop fiddling around. Oh, wow, there's some tracks, some requests have come through. Thank you. So we're going to have a look at who's sent through some requests and see if we can listen to some tracks. I suppose it would be listening time now, wouldn't it? However, I try to avoid having that up, because if I put listening time up... So Gail, the details on how to request a song are in the description of this YouTube live stream. There should be a link to Ko-fi. A link to Ko-fi in the link description or in the description of this live stream, and that'll send you to where you need to go in order to submit a track. Or in order to submit a track, yeah. Should be good. So yeah, who do we have first though? We have a few. We have not completed. Kirk? I'm pretty sure I did Kirk's last time, yeah. I got through all the live streams last time, all the requests. Also just taking my time today just to not rush through things, you know? Because when you rush through things, it gets a bit messy. So Jacob, thanks for your request. Thank you, Jacob. I appreciate that. I appreciate you helping out. I think it's good that people can help each other out. I appreciate that. What does Jacob have for us today? Apparently this is a new song from Turnstile, my current favorite hardcore pop band. Turnstile, never enough. Cheers for that, Jacob. I think we also have another one in the queue as well, so put 2 for the queue. Let's go, let's do it. Yeah, right, we're gonna put the link in to here. That's right. Cool. Let's do it. Turnstile. This is Jacob's. Thank you, Jacob, for this.
Running from yourself now, getting what you told. Never let your guard down, anywhere you go.
It's beautiful, man.
In the right place, at the right time. It's still you sinking to the floor. It's never enough, never enough, never enough, never enough, never enough. It's never
The sound design for that intro was fantastic, though. I loved how misty it was.
running from yourself now, getting what you told. Never let your guard down.
I think that was a motorcycle, by the way. If you heard that, that was a motorcycle outside the house.
Anywhere you go,
Crazy loud.
in the right place, at the right time. It's still you sinking to the floor. It's never enough, never enough, never enough. Never enough, never enough, never enough.
Sorry, I'll stop messing around with that now. It's great to have that color with the solo section, you know?
Never enough, never enough. Never enough, never enough, never
It's just interesting to come down to these synth parts as well. And the twinkly piano bits. Twinkly piano bits. Ah. I see with this build and the filtering, it kind of makes you wonder where they're going to go next with it. Sick. I just want to have a listen through that earlier part there.
Never let your guard down, anywhere you go. In the right place, at the right time.
Okay, so that was Turnstile with Never Enough, the song from Jacob. Thank you for your request, Jacob. What do we think this track is about? I think that it is about someone, when I talk about a guard down and it's never enough, you kind of get the inference it's about someone. They add these beautiful dream pop aesthetic to their sensitive songs. They're quite a unit when it's their bread and butter, hardcore punk sound. But this is quite new in terms of discography. It kind of makes you wonder whether it's never enough for them to feel safe. Almost like they kind of they just would never feel secure where they are, and they're simply just going to continue moving forward, but they're kind of sort of tripping over themselves in the process. It could just be talking about sort of like self-destructive tendencies or something like that. I'm not sure, but either way, I think one of the things I appreciate is the minimalism of the vocals within this. It's nice to have a song where it tells a lot of its story through the synth textures and timbres surrounding it, especially in that first minute there. And it's so beautiful, again, with those different layers going over top of the lead. You know, as Sweet Lily Love said, it is extremely well produced. But it's also a situation where I think without that, you could have enjoyed the track regardless, simply because of how beautiful it was with those cascading sevenths and those stereo 80 synths and pads and stuff like that. Well, there you go. Who dealt with a drug addiction for a few years, how I felt as if it's a never enough. Yeah, it's never enough. Yeah, it's never enough to be able to stop that from happening. It's terrible. I think some of the best music is when you're completely honest about a situation, but how he has come to terms with it recently. Yeah, I think it's it almost kind of feels like, my interpretation of this is that it's like the weird kind of piece of like maybe getting that high, but then like coming to the realization of how brutal things are with the distorted guitar, the bass drums, etc. And at the end, it's almost like you got the person kind of fluttering away and you've got to kind of say goodbye to that person before kind of moving on to the next thing at the end. So I feel like the story is also structurally telling a really interesting, it's an interesting sort of journey you have with that piece. So I feel like, first of all, the melodies are compelling. They integrate and amalgamate well with the rest of the instrumental parts there. They tell a story of themselves. They sound caring. They're kind of soft and not too harsh at any point there. I feel like if you've been too visceral or aggressive with the delivery of this, it would have just seemed a little bit too kind of like blunt. So I feel like the expression from the vocalist in regard, as well as again the melodies themselves, the core melodies, and the hook line, the never enough part was catchy whilst also not being inauthentic. But it's also that they were sparse and allowed, again, those other textures from the synth pads come in as well, with the really beautiful kind of like fluffiness of those. The harder textures from the drums, guitar, bass coming with the truth and the further elaboration of the situation that they're in. I think it was great to allow for that sort of the different chapters, so structurally very, very effective. Hang on a minute. Sorry about that. Just had a big bang outside. So I think going into the guitars, bass, and drums for that second chapter was really smart. It's more sort of like their bread and butter, perhaps in regards to the style of music they do, was trying to include some other sort of ethereal textures. And you have that rolling kind of like loop there where it's almost like we're going through our thoughts over and over and over, almost like we do it as many times as we can, but it is just never enough. I think there's some beautiful lead lines in there as well. I appreciate what we're trying to do in regard to the guitar solo, and that there was a guitar solo, right? Yeah, it was a really pretty guitar solo, which mirrored some of the textures that we had in the earlier stages with those synth pads. And I think that if you, it's a longer song, so even though the vocals aren't that much within it, like they aren't overloading them with context, you still need that variety internally. So just that self-awareness of having different layers coupled with the combination of elements in their various chapters. As well as finally, outside of the tightness of the actual instrumental performance, it is the studio production. I love the clarity of the vocals in the mix, the way they were kind of filtered with their EQ, the compression, and the reverb tails. the way at the start, the volume automation and stuff, how things kind of build up and then come down and then go back up at the end there. I feel like that post-production is tight. The leveling general, the dynamic range of the piece as well is effective. Things aren't squashed or kind of choked. The stuff surrounds you in the stereo field, the music surrounds you in the headphones, and I think there's no weird resonant frequency in the frequency spectrum. And ultimately, it's just a really... Have we listened to Turnstile before? I mean, either way, I'm really impressed with what they've pulled off and what they've accomplished here, and I think it's another fantastic addition to this discography either way. So yeah, ultimately very, very satisfied with this. Thank you to Jacob for this fantastic request. I appreciate it. It's a really cool song. Just getting back to the swing of things with these. Thank you to Midler for your request. I appreciate that. We'll check that out when we get to that in the queue. So we have a few tracks to do. We have another track after this. We've done Jacob's one. That was cool. That was cool. What do we have after that? We have Sweet Little Love. So Sweet Little Love has a song coming in. I assume that's probably gonna be an original, which is cool. It's nice to have some originals come through here as well as other tracks that other people have made or their favorite songs. So yeah, what have we got? Some Sweet Little Love today. Thank you to everyone else as well. Dr. Theo and Midler for your requests. I'll check those out in a moment. Where was that? Yeah. Okay. Echoes in the Sky. Cool. Let's do it. Yeah. Track number 2 for today. And is it going to load up Spotify? Oh, immediately into it. Okay, so this track is Sweet Little Love with Echoes in the Sky. Let's do it. There we go. There's an interesting kind of radio filter to some of the vocal parts. Interesting tone to the kicks there. I mean, it's inherently catchy. I mean, it's inherently catchy. There we go. Good. I just have to speak more clearly, enunciate. Interesting transition to the major here. So going to that major after you and I part, it's a nice transfer there. And we seem to like putting that crash at the end of some of our stuff, eh? I dig that. I think it's good. So just before we get into it, Sweet Little Love, if you're watching this, what made you want to do a radio edit and then like a normal one, like a longer one? I think it's cool to have an A and B side. I'm just curious. That's all. Jacob says it's a really nostalgic sound. Absolutely. Yeah, I can get behind that, eh? It does kind of remind me of some of the sort of like the hardcore stuff I heard from like the 2010s and stuff like that. I dig that. That's cool. So this was Echoes in the Skies. Oh, it doesn't have the intro and outro. Right. So like a lot of songs that we hear from Sweet Little Love, such as Echoes in the Skies, they tend to sort of revolve around a sort of like a relationships and interpersonal sort of like interactions with others. The attractions both physically or like psychologically or like how our love kind of lifts us up. And I dig that. I think that's a kind of sort of a topic that a lot of people are going to be able to get behind. I think that it's a universal thing. So in that sense, I think it's effective. No complaints from my point of view or purview about that. I feel like there's more to it than that. There's a sense of magic and a glow to it that's really charming. And yeah. Sounds like the early 2000s stuff. Yeah. And I think that that's a really important thing to kind of look into if you're producing music it's not to rely on the most current sound, because if everyone is doing that, then you're kind of screwed. You've got to like fight against the pull of that. If you can find a niche or something which is less common, but that still sounds dope, that's great. So I think part of what worked well with this is almost the kind of the attention deficit approach we had to the way we sort of like stacked and structured things. There were very few moments where something wasn't happening within this. I think as opposed to the previous track that you have from Jacob Good, Never Enough, where we had moments where you could simply kind of relax and kind of sit there and absorb it. Once you got into the throes of Echoes in the Sky, you were just kind of thrown against the wall there. And it was upbeat and positive and cheery, but there was constant interaction with the audience and constant attempts at engagement. And I think at this point, Sweet Little Love has that down. I've listened to a lot of their material, and we've really got we've worked out the kind of polish for that. So that's really good. I think the actual amount of stuff we've got involved musically, compositionally involved is positive. I think another thing I appreciate is the overall kind of production of the track, like the way things are leveled, the way things are presented, the use of filtering, the use of automation, the use of other kind of devices there to sort of keep things sounding relatively commercial grade. And a track where I feel like I would be able to listen to this in the club or by its own and enjoy my time with it. I think the fact that we're looking into things such as a radio edit is really positive, because it insinuates that we're aware that some people just do not have the time to listen through an intro and outro for whatever reason. And kind of having it shorter like that can, I suppose, potentially help it get into playlists. So I think that that's smart as well. I think that's really smart. I think that's really good. So I think in addition, it's just the actual the understanding of how to prepare it for the post, the after the production element of it, I think is clear here, and it's nice and loud without pumping, without being squeezed. And you know, the vocals are nice and present in the mix as well, which I appreciate. These headphones can be kind of unforgiving, and when I said there was a kind of radio filter, I think it was just that we didn't have a lot of low end in the vocals at that point, partly because of the range that we're in, but also partly because we're allowing for other elements within the arrangement. So it's really cool. I think ultimately the transitions, like the major lift to it, the focus on having a major key oriented kind of perspective to it, I think was smart here. I think that while the minor key can sound kind of cool, you really need to be cognizant of how much you're using it. If you rely too much on a sadder sort of vibe to tracks, it can sometimes detract from the obvious alternative, which is simply to make a track which enjoys itself. There's a risk, of course, that it can sound cheesy if you rely on the major key. But here, I think that because of the interesting use of synth and textures, the constant development of the bass, the synth pads, the sequences, the everything like revolved around it instrumentally, it remains impactful and effective as a song. And I feel like it balances itself well. The actual vocal performance is quite earnest. So I just think that when we combine all these elements there, it's just really well articulated. I've got no real complaints about it. The feedback for a lot of Sweet Little Love stuff has been positive recently, and I don't feel the need to say that. It just is. It's kind of like you get to the point where a lot of feedback becomes subjective once the fundamentals and further are adhered to. So it's very good. So ultimately, really happy with that track. I think it's just another solid effort. I think that it's good use of that real estate, and there was no filler. So well done to Sweet Little Love for that. Thank you for your request. That was awesome. That was really good. So we can take that one off the list. It makes me happy when I hear people and I hear their work over time and they just continue to grow and develop as musicians. It makes me very happy. Because the last thing I'd want is for people to either take any, especially if there's constructive criticism. You're welcome, Sweet Little Love. Because I'm not always positive when I give feedback to people. I have given negative feedback recently on tracks when there has been stuff that could be improved. And some people take it well, and some people do not. And I find, maybe this is just a bit of bias, but I find that the people that do take it well, in a sense that they just accept that it is feedback, they grow from that as well as listening to other people, and they become better musicians. And, it can be difficult to hear people talk about your child and be like, oh, there's things that could be different about your child. I get it. But well done on that front as well. We have a few in the queue now. We have like five tracks. This is Dr. Theo's one. Thank you to Dr. Theo. This is Asuno Joukei, titled Diva Under the Blue Sky. So let's get into this one, yeah? Oh, I love that. The fullness of that tone with the production is sensational. Oh. Such a dreamy tone to those guitars, eh? I love it. I love when you have a kind of a trope or a style that you think you're semi-familiar with, and then they completely throw you under the bus. And I just adore it, dude. Black gaze. Crazy, man. It's a very shimmery tone, isn't it? Relative minor? Parallel minor, should I say. Oh, that tone on the guitars is phenomenal, dude. Great 16th note hi-hat groove on the hi-hats. Tremendous. So that was Asuno Jokei with Diva Under the Blue Sky, requested by Dr. Theo. Now, what do we think this track is about? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what this track is about. I call this album Japanese Sunbather Island. I don't think I necessarily needed to understand what the lyrics were about to be able to appreciate the vocals for this song. I think it was just such a breath of fresh air to hear such a different style on top of this. It's rare that I'm taken aback by something like this. The idea of, as Dr. Theo put it, black metal mixed with shoegaze is such an alien concept to me because they seem like they're antithetical to each other. But I firmly believe in this situation, it's a smart choice because what's so cool about it is that just because they're so opposite, they somehow attract. And so you just got this visceral tone on top of these dreamy reverb, delay soaked guitars there, these chimey, shimmery elements there that seem, again, so unusual, but then it's so beautiful and it evens out how visceral the tone of the vocals are. So I think that it's not just that we had a really incredible performance vocally with fantastic technique. Doing that style of vocal fry, those shrieks, is incredibly difficult to do, especially with volume, and especially in a way where it is something you can continue to do. Because if you don't have good vocal technique, you will shred your vocal cords and you will be unable to do any of it anymore. And so I'm thankful that I can hear this and I can assume they probably know what they're talking about or what they're sort of like shrieking about just because. And it's not everyone's vocal style, to be fair, and that's okay. It's not okay. It's okay for people to be alienated by the fact that it is so kind of scary and kind of intense. Yeah, Gail. Gail, we've got to go through the queue. So there's a few people in the queue at the moment. We will get through to your track soon. I think your track is the one after next. So we're just going through the queue. There's 5 songs in the queue at the moment. So yeah, yours will be the one after next. So what was I talking about? So I think that the way the vocals were handled was really, really solid. I like the tone of those. I liked the way that there was just this incredible, like, dreamy, romantic, beautiful atmosphere there with wonderful harmonies from those sort of single chord guitar parts there. The bass and drums underneath were a fantastic combination as well. And like there was a bit of tension to those as well. Actually, no, I'm tripping, aren't I? I think I'm hearing clean guitars, but there was also overdrive the entire time. It's almost like it wasn't like distorted enough, such as at the end parts, and my brain was like, that's not distorted guitar. But no, it is distorted. It's overdriven guitar at the least. Yeah, there's just this kind of grainy, kind of like dusty overdrive coupled with the really smooth distortion. It's just a wonderful combination of elements there. I'm just tripping anyways. It was nice for the bass to also have its time to shine as well. Some sort of like little instrumental kind of interlude bits there to be able to sort of peek its head out. But I think it's like a focus harmonically on the ninths as well as some of the sus chords, the suspended ones, where weren't trying to become too emotional or harmonically complicated. It's just more what we're trying to do is add some kind of shimmer and sheen to it outside of the different guitar layers. Having them on top is nice. Having the bass be flexible down the bottom is fantastic. And having the drums play a plethora of different quarter, eighth, and 16th note grooves across the kit, coupled with the continued sort of like quarter note orient of the main sort of groove was fantastic. So ultimately, I feel like there was enough going on with the various guitar parts, the cleans, the distorted or overdriven parts, combined with the bass and drums to keep things intriguing throughout. And also, it was the studio production where simply things just sounded so well collected and well rounded with the way the vocals were captured within the mix, with the way the guitars were layered around the stereo field and frequency spectrum, the fact that there was dynamic range. I just appreciate the way that it was recorded, mixed, and mastered. It's just so nice to come into that distorted part there whilst it being nicely glued and kind of smooth like that. So ultimately, I just think it was a phenomenal effort all round. There are no issues or complaints on my part. I'm not familiar with these genres, but I feel like people are finding more and more interesting combinations of them, and it makes me excited for the future of music. Music's not dead. It's just discovering new niches, I think, at this point, and trying not to rely on AI if you can avoid it. I'll be right back, though. Thank you to Dr. Theo for that previous one. I'll be right back. There you go. I'm back. So Middler says, I think when it comes to music nowadays, it's all about mixing stuff together, trying to create something you can't define into a genre. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like if you can find a niche and be original, you've got yourself a chance. It's just way easier, I think, to find. This sounds counterproductive, I suppose. I feel it's easier to find something that hasn't been done yet than it is to try and beat someone at a professional level at what they do, if that makes sense. That was Dr. Theo with their track. We got Meddler now with theirs. So what have we got for Meddler? And you're welcome, Gail. It's all good. We're making our way through the list. So this is Meddler with their original track from Meddler titled Damn. This is my son. Some feedback would be awesome, please, and thank you. Sure thing, let's do it. Let us hear what we have to, what we listen to. That's cool. That's all good. It's so good. We're very new to music, just 1.5 years in producing. That's cool. Okay, so we've got that there. We've got that there. Cool. Let's do it, Middler. What do we got? I mean, it's interesting sound design with the way things go backward and forward in a stereo field. I like that. Oh, a modular shift up a semitone. Yeah. So this is how I know I'm probably going to have a good time. We're covering a lot of the fundamentals in regards to the roundness of certain amounts of bars, transitioning into different sections. We are messing around and experimenting with the amount of times we do things or sample or include things and messing around with different rhythms. It's very positive so far. Is that Bowser? Okay, good. Because at this halfway point, it's about, okay, if we've got 2.5 minutes sounding good, what is the rest of the 2 minutes going to be like now that we've established a theme? It is indeed. The queue is open. Hello, Gwen and Julius. Welcome to the live stream. Okay, so that was Meddler with their original track, I assume, titled Damn. So this was practically an instrumental. There was the damn, and lots of dams, and then there was the Bowser laugh. And there was more stuff going on at the end here. So I think it was more about the vibe rather than trying to tell a story with this one. And I think that when we're starting out with production, I think that's a really positive thing to do. I think if you try to create too grand a concept when you're still kind of getting the hang of things, it can be a little bit daunting. So I think it's a smart move there. One of the things I appreciate is the relative simplicity and the groove of it. We never go away from that chord note. Well, we might, do we at any point? We typically stay. There's like 8th and 16th and chord note grooves there and variations rhythmically of different elements with sub rhythms, but like the main focus is doof, 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 doof. And I think that it works because we have changes in the way that we sort of like put things forward. It's like we're aware that if we have too much of the same thing, we need to adjust. And so I think as we go through the track, we adjust textures, maybe change drum kits and stuff like that. And I think that allows us to go for 4 minutes 26. Like the first, we knew when to like, it was one bit. Like we knew to kind of add those 16th note hi-hats with a bit of filtering and phasing and stuff like that at that minute marks. We'd had a lot of the kick focus, for example. There's an awareness of how to structure stuff. And it's a very different song at the end there. You can still kind of hear from the textures and timbres that there is a connection to the first half, though, that I think is good. And so I think that, yeah, no, we've made a cohesive track that you can like follow through and go, okay, I've gotten from this one to the next. I understand what we're trying to accomplish here. So that's effective. I think as well, again, the fact that the textures and timbres match is a positive itself, and there's nothing that seems alien when you've got a kind of a quirky vibe with the dam and then the Bowser laughs and the kind of like almost like kind of, I don't know what kind of genre what would you describe this as, Midler? What kind of genre of music would this be? I'm tempted to say it is a type of house, but I'm not sure what. But it's just this kind of got this kind of unusual, kind of quirky, kind of like chaotic feel to it, where almost like the dam is like you're surprised by what happened. And if that was the vibe that we were going for, that's really cool. I dig that. It's almost like when we throw in something, it's either a logical development of the main theme as per the genre, or we're simply trying to sort of like surprise the listener in a sense, or make it even more sort of quirky there. We're not afraid of any sort of like tritones with the mesh or whatever with the harmonies and stuff like that, but we are also, we have this consistency, I suppose, that helps us with going between the root and the flat second and the scale there for the bass lines, which I think is another thing that kind of ties the different components together. I think what I'll also comment on is that I think that in general, things are pretty well leveled. Things are nicely sidechained. Yeah, it's a very trancey, surprising track. It's good to have things well leveled, well polished within an electronic track, because electronic music is one of the genres of music you just really cannot get away. You can't get away with stuff not being polished with electronic music. I think most people I think are wanting electronic music to be so well polished and well produced that they want it to then go and be a bit kind of angsty and grimy, almost as like a kind of a bit of icing on the cake, if that makes sense. So the fact that we've got, for the most part, a nice like clean level of sub bass, a response there, that things that sidechain neatly, leveled well, things around you in the stereo field there, you can follow along with it pretty easily. It's nice and loud, but it's not squeezed or choked. And the frequency spectrum is explored both like a low to mid orient, but like it's explored well, I think. It is solid. Just making sure I'm not rambling. Yeah, production good. Production good, structure good, interesting textures. My main point of feedback, and this is something that I give a lot of people who send through like their first tracks that they've produced, is how do we know that it's Midler? How do we know listening to this that it's Midler? I think that's what I would say in terms of feedback. As far as listening to this, and if we wanted to have a career doing this or even to continue to make music, I think it'd be good to try and identify a way that people know it's us by listening to it. There might have been a producer tag I missed, but either way, Very, very good. Thank you to Meddler for putting this through. There's no complaints on my end in regards to this track. I think the fundamentals are covered too. It just depends on how we kind of push things forward with a wider concept. And I think if we were to put more of a story to a future track, that would be where we'd be comparing how what we're doing harmonically, melodically, etc. would kind of relate to that. But very good. I agree. It was a pretty good song so far. Absolutely. And thank you to Gwyn and Julius for submitting. But that was from Meddler. We're having a bit of a chatterbox day today, I think. I'm talking about stuff today. We've got Gail's track next, which will be good. Hey, you're welcome. Got Gail's. Gail with their track. What have we got from Gail today? I appreciate people's patience because I know it can be a little while. Attachment 1.mp3. Oh, so I've sent it through. I go to here. They're cool. Oh, okay. That's cool. Right. Okay, so we'll do this. I'll just say it here, Gail, I'm totally okay to review this track. Usually we send through like YouTube links or like stuff via Spotify or SoundCloud, but we can review the MP3. That's fine. I'm just usually we try to stick to like URLs and stuff like that, but it's okay that we've attached this. So this is Gail Vocal with their track Namaste. We'll listen through that. We'll just go here. Oh, okay. So this is Namaste from Gail Vogel.
The consciousness of humanity is evolving with a
There we
growing
go.
awareness of the interconnectedness of all that is and the sacredness of all life.
I like the balancing of the guitar bass with the vocals.
The time has come for a respect, a reverence, not for just human life, but for all life on planet Earth.
Is there like a slapback delay on the kick? It's like a dra 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 kind of sound.
Namaste, a Sanskrit word meaning the divine in me recognizes and honors the divine in you. We truly are all one. Namaste, namaste. Namaste, namaste. Namaste, namaste. Namaste, namaste. Namaste, namaste.
It has a very kind of psychedelic feel to it, eh?
Namaste, namaste. Namaste, namaste, namaste. The interconnectedness of all that is.
Connection is everywhere.
For all life on planet Earth.
Separateness is an illusion. We are all one.
Namaste, namaste. Namaste, namaste. Namaste, namaste.
It's a very poignant guitar lead as well.
Namaste, namaste. The time has come for a respect, a reverence,
Nice use of pinch harmonics with the lead guitarist there as well.
We are all one.
So I'm actually really impressed with this. So this is a track from Gail Vogel titled Namaste. Now I should note here, please review the song Namaste, which is about the unity of us all set to a rock style groove. I wrote, produced, performed, and recorded all of the tracks except for the lead guitar, which was performed by Sheen O'Connor from Dublin, Ireland. It's a fantastic effort. So I'm not familiar with a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, but I like the sound of it. The idea of Namaste, the divine in me recognizes the divine in you, the interconnectedness of everything. I kind of dig the overall vibe what we're discussing there, and I think that it's a really beautiful thing to explore in a song. Part of why I think this works so well is that, as Jacob says, this has a much more funky approach. That bassline soulful guitar lead, absolutely. I think that that's a tremendous idea. I feel like you really need to make this a lovely song to listen to in order to really sort of like surround and encapsulate the concept that we're trying to discuss. I think if you had any harsh edges to this, it would have just been a little bit too much, a little bit too visceral. So I appreciate that there's just this wonderful warmth with the kind, even with the bluesy lead guitars near the end played by Sheen or Sean. It was just tremendous there. Like from the sound design from the start with the guitars on the left to the kind of there's an interesting effect to some of the vocals where it almost sounds like we're kind of doing a space broadcast or something like that. It kind of completely removes the low end there and it kind of makes it sound like you're listening to like an astronaut talk. I kind of dig that. I'm not being not being derogatory. I mean that genuinely. I think it's cool. I like the tone. I like the sound design of some of these vocal choices. But just it allows so much space with that filtering for those really funky bass lines where the bassist isn't just playing the root notes, they're exploring the modes and pentatonics and minors or major leanings of that point. I think it's effective. I appreciate the groove of the drums in the various quarter, eighth, and 16th note tones there. It was an interesting kick sound, but I think that it kind of made it a bit more kind of distinct in the mix, which I appreciate. I think it might, I'm not sure, I might be tripping to be fair, but it's just the way that we don't just rely on the chord note accent there. We explore different rhythms and phrasings of certain percussive elements there is fantastic. And in addition to that, it's also the harmonies on the sides there, as well as some of like the synth sounds. Yeah, we have these keys and these wonderful sort of oscillations there working around the place, which kind of flange or phase around and are just very kind of pretty. Very pretty things to listen to. I just need to do something really quickly. Cool, just while I remember. But yeah, no, wonderful. I love the coloration and the actual instrumental performances are fantastic within this. And like the guitars go around the stereo field, which I suppose is more of a post-production thing, but nonetheless, it's great. It's great stuff. And the fact that we just have these wonderful like adventures and bits of development throughout the track as well there, like there's changes in the intensities of certain instruments. We mess with dynamic range. We are going on this big kind of journey through a consistency perhaps of the communication of certain lines from the vocalist, but I think they're aware if they're going to have that consistency, they need the music to change. So I think that that's good as well. But like the kind of the arpeggios, the da 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 da, that kind of things are really cool. I like the fact that we are aware that we need to further develop some of those harmonies or chord progressions in the later half, even if we have a lead guitar kind of like popping off. It's great. So to kind of round out what I'm trying to sort of communicate here effectively, I think what works for this is the fact that when we have the vocals, which are spoken well and dictate the story, they are more atmospheric in the sense that we're really kind of providing more context for the world that our music is trying to create. I think that the instrumental parts from like the synths, the keys, the guitar, bass, and drums are well rounded and well performed throughout in the mix. It's a very organic performance, which I appreciate. And things niche and amalgamate well, and there's a lot of life to it. And then within the studio production of it, I feel like that's typically very, very tight. Things aren't too squeezed. I like the filtering of certain vocal elements there to kind of add a sense of kind of like flair and wonderment to it, and to kind of show that bit of kind of X factor to it. And ultimately, just my as a closing comment, I think that as an individual kind of experience, this is very strong. I feel like people who can relate to what we're discussing here will be especially kind of like keen on it. I think that it kind of is like a very warm, kind of caring environment where it almost makes you kind of want to learn more about it because of how just friendly and chill and and loving it is. So it's a great song. Honestly, really fantastic vibe. I think that we balanced out the bluesy kind of orients we had with some of the lead guitar solos weren't to make it sad. It was more to sort of like be kind of funky and bluesy, and I dig that. So overall, thank you to Gail, to Gail Vogel for putting that track through. Namaste. It was great to listen through it and to talk about it. That was awesome. That's cool. Oh, hang on. What did I do? Here we go. If I go here. Oh, I lost my commissions. There we are. We have not confused things now. So we're on Vogel. Thank you to Gail Vogel for that. It was good to listen through it. Error accepting. Why? Oh, because I'd already done it. Right. That's cool. So there we go. So we've got Ko-fi supported next. You're welcome, Gail. It was good to listen through it. So this is Ko-fi supporter. I'm not sure who Ko-fi supporter is. When I go add Ko-fi supporter, thanks for your request. So, oh, okay. So I think this might be another one related to the K-pop group. By the way, to anyone who's watching this who watched the NMix video, thank you for doing so. I appreciate people's feedback on the NMix video. It's been good to like read through the comments and kind of hear the people like vibed with it. It's really cool. Apparently, she is Kim Si-jeong. She is a former member of the legendary South Korean girls groups IOI and Gugudan. Now she is a solo singer and actor, such as the heroine of the Korean drama Business Proposal on Netflix. Before that, she was an idol singer with very good singing skills and was known to everyone in Asia. This is She cover from You Are You My Sea. So let's do this then. Let's go. Let's do it. What do we got next? Okay, so just a friendly reminder that we will be listening up until the 5-minute mark. It's not because I don't like hearing songs. It's just to keep things sort of even between people. But let's do it. Kim Si-jeong. My Sea. Let's do it. Let's go. Thank you to Ko-fi supporter for this. I'm gonna check. Okay. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so this is, so I don't know if you guys can see this. Okay, so go here. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if you can see that. Can this go bigger? So basically I have gone through this commission from the previous one. So this is Kirk in April 26th. Then we had Jacob and Sweet Little Love and Dr. Theo, Medler, Gail Vogel. We're on a Ko-fi supporter now. And then we've got Jacob, Julius, and then Medler, and then Dr. Theo. So I don't know if you're on the list, unfortunately, which I know is kind of rough. Yes, that's okay. We're all good. Where did that go? So I'm going to put that back here and go, hey. So who do we have here then? Deepal. How do we say your name? Bill. It is Bill. Bill. Here you go. Thank you, Bill. I'm gonna go Bill Glow. There we go. Thank you, Bill. Let's go, Bill.
내가 날 온전히 사랑하지 못해서 마음이 가난한 밤
I'm sorry about Kofi changing the interface though.
거울 속에 마주친 얼굴이 어색해서 습관처럼 조용히 눈을 감아 밤이 되면 서둘러 내일로 가고 싶어 수많은 소원 아래 매일 다른 꿈을 꾸던
Fantastic vocal performance.
그렇게 오랜 시간 겨우 내가 되려고 봤던 걸까 쌓이는 하루만큼 더 멀어져 우리는 화해할 수 없을 것 같아 나아지지 않을 것 같아 어린 날
We'll sort that out after this, Blue Dinner Box. We'll sort it out after this. Thank you for letting me know.
바다가 있었지. 이제는 흔적만이 남아 희미한 그곳엔 설렘으로 차오르던 나의 숨소리와 머리 위로 선선히 부는 바람 파도가 되어 어디로든 달려가고 싶어 작은 두려움 아래 천천히 두 눈을 뜨면 세상은 그렇게
Sorry to interrupt. It's just the mark of a vocalist that they're able to handle those big moments there and just keep your eye on it. It's just fantastic form.
모든 순간 내게로 와는 부신 선물이 되고 숱하게 의심하던 나는 그제야 나에게 대답할 수 있을 것 같아 선 너머의 기억이
Interesting minor major modulation there.
나를 부르고 있어 아주 오랜 시간 동안 잊고 있던 목소리에 내 안에 바다가 태어난 곳으로 휩쓸려 길을 잃어도 자유로워 더 이상 날 가두는 어둠의 눈 감지
I love the transitions as well with those string, like the violins, you know, the strings and the guitars as well.
두 번 다시 날 모른 척하지 않아
I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Hang on. Okay. Sorry about that. We just got the neighbor doing some lawn mowing at the moment, so apologies if you can hear that in the live stream. I thought that was tremendous. Really phenomenal vocal performance here.
여전히 가끔은 삶에게 지는 날들도 있겠지.
I mean, like, they're just an incredible vocalist, aren't they? They're just an incredible vocalist. I hear this. She is Kim Se-jeong. She is a former member of the legendary South Korean girls group. So I hear this and I'm not sure what the track is about because I'm not familiar with the language. I don't know how to understand the language, but what I hear is someone who has just really astute, capable vocal technique. And at any point, they've just got fantastic posture there. They're very comfortable in their head and chest voice there. They transfer really elegantly between notes.
있었지.
There's no moments where you're sort of questioning whether or not they're going to hit the notes. They seem very comfortable in front of the mic, in front of the cameras, and it's just fantastic. So I think one of the things I appreciate is just the clarity of the performance as well as the range there, the dynamics, etc., how they express themselves. It's a very beautiful performance. There aren't meant to be sort of any harsh edges or anything like that. It's just overall very well done. I think in addition to that, you have the typical kind of piano accompaniment there that has some interesting sort of twists and turns with occasional parallel major or minors, but typically revolves around some triads, which are very sort of like accessible to most styles of music, especially that kind of poppy kind of stuff.
희미한 그곳에
And what I also appreciate is that when you have the strings either kind of playing sort of like 8th or 16th note grooves near the end, or they're rising and falling with those keys, or the sense of instrumental cohesion and rhythmic unison there, that just it works and it makes it very sort of like everyone is together. It shows a sense of chemistry.
너를 전
And I think as well, just the use of the hi-hats there is fantastic. They're like occasional, it's almost like a kind of a ticking like clock or something like that, you know.
그렇게 모든 순간
But not having the drums all the time allows certain elements to float there. So I think we just have a nuance as well from a compositional perspective of when to allow things to be sort of more static, when to allow for a sense of groove and inherent sort of like, I suppose, catchiness for that hook line, but also to almost have a Disney-esque kind of
기억
like a bit of magic there, like having the keys on the right side up on that a higher range there for a bit of kind of color in the upper range there. We know how to decorate the frequency spectrum as well, which is really good. And to have the choir come in a bit later on to kind of like fill out the stereo field a bit more and add further development there is fantastic as well. It's a beautiful song. And it's just also good to allow ourselves to just have a moment to really sort of appreciate the instrumental parts as well. We're not just reliant on the vocals, even though Kim Se-jeong is a sensational singer. It's just that we have around us an understanding of the need to sort of have moments for everything to allow the track to sort of sequence itself a bit more proficiently there. And overall, very good. Yeah, it was just gorgeous. I think finally, because I feel like the studio production is just a given. With anything at a major label level, it's very difficult to sort of like find fault with anything. So I think it more or less just comes down to there's an inherent sweetness to the overall track, I think, like with no, I have to talk about the studio production because I feel like that's like the ultimate third thing. So it's just it's also just the polish of the vocals within the mix, the balance of them, the dynamic range of the strings and the keys, as well as the other components being a bit more sort of like consistent in the hook sections. The fact that some parts kind of come down from not only a composition but from a production perspective, allowing sort of dynamic range there.
바다가 태어난 곳은
And there's like use of deliberate sub-layers volume-wise as well to not have everything sort of be too prominent there. There's a sense of kind of like range and scope there and depth with the dimensionality with it, which I appreciate. And there's like a little bit of kind of flair and nuance as well to certain elements. Like you can hear those strings kind of fluttering and those are cool ideas, but again, it never kind of goes up against Kim Sejong. They're always the focal point despite that. Ultimately, I think it's the vocal quality, the way the instrument, the song is sequenced and structured as well as produced, but it's also like just occasional bit of flair on the instrumental parts outside of that as well, which work very well. So ultimately, I think it's a really positive review. Thank you to Bill Guo for sending that through. I appreciate being able to hear it. It's a really cool track. Gail asks, will we have access to a copy of this live review tonight? Yeah, it'll be on the YouTube channel. So the way that these live streams work is that they're here, we're live, and then after the live stream ends, YouTube needs to go through this live stream and check that there's not any issues. So there could be a video that is shown here that YouTube thinks, oh, that needs to be copyright blocked. And so if that video is copyright blocked, my live stream is copyright blocked, which is why for a long time I typically did not do YouTube live streams because YouTube would copyright block stuff. But they've been a bit more lenient recently, and I just kind of trim the stuff out that gets blocked. So basically, TLDR, if the live stream isn't up tomorrow, it'll be up tonight. It'll be up tomorrow, and just there's no shenanigans. It's just that it's YouTube's fault because they decide to kind of change stuff after it's done. Like they could just block it now, but they don't want to. Typically, it's the copyright holders saying, no, this person isn't reviewing it, so therefore they can go F themselves. But anyways, that is done. The live stream will be up tomorrow, if not today. And if anything needs to get trimmed, that'll be why it's delayed. So thank you to Bill for that. What do we have next? Who is the next track from? Dinahay. Hang on. Let me just go to my page. Just want to just double check this. Oh, yeah, you did. Be it coffee. I cannot stand. Why does it not show? Why does it not show? Hang on, guys. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out Ko-fi as well. I know that there's a lot of songs in the queue, and I know that it's, there's a bit of delays and stuff. It'll be more proficient next time. It's just stuff. Just trying to figure out what's happened here. Oh, okay. There we go. Cool. Thank you. So I've actually got a track from Dinahay, Blue Dinner Box. I found this. So I found it, Dinahay. It's okay. We're all good. So this is Dinahay's track here. So Dinahay here. Yeah, it's just Ko-fi being Ko-fi. It's fine. I'll double check the links and stuff like that. Later on. Here we go. Let's go, Dinahay, let's do it. It's very spooky, isn't it? Ptolemaea. Bro, this is so unreal. Just the sound of the flies and the sound design is ridiculous. Oh, and the sub bass is pretty wild as well. It is so incredibly spooky though with the atmosphere of it. Holy shit. Great triplet fill there though. Oh man, that's slick. And that's 5 minutes. That was a hell of a fever dream, wasn't it? That was Ptolemy from Ethel Cain. So this track, I think it's about you love blood too much, but not like I do, not like I do. Need you, love you. It's about needing someone to an extent where it becomes an obsession and just kind of like almost losing their own sort of like agency. He's the one who's going to take me. I'm on fire. Suffering is nigh drawing to me. Beautiful finite. Damn. Is it about abuse? Is it about like some sort of abuse of some kind? He keeps looking at me and she just screams, stop. I am the face of love's rage, blessed by the... It's brutally difficult stuff to listen to. You can hear, one of the things that sells this is just how visceral the vocal performance is. It's just completely just, utterly just... This the sound design of like the people kind of murmuring and whispering and kind of like speaking how things get bigger and bigger and bigger at the start. Like, it's just so unsettling with the sound design. But then you get into Ethel herself, and it's very, very quiet, and it's very timid, and it's very kind of vulnerable and fragile, and you just go through it almost like you're just in a constant horror film. To be able to emote and express ourselves like that with attention to detail in regards to harmonizing with other elements, maintaining a stylistic consistency with the approach of it, is just phenomenal. I mean, it's just brutal. The theme is so dark, YouTube can't even make the message public. Yeah, no, I think that I can imagine what it might be based on what you've said. It's interesting to me that YouTube is not wanting you to say that word. That actually makes me wonder whether I can say that stuff. To be honest, I don't know if I can, but here we are. It's a violent track there with just an absolutely incredible vocal performance there from Ethel Cain there, who absolutely sells it. It's very theatrical and dramatic, but it makes sense for the subject matter. It's very, very effective. I think another part that just sells it is the sound design, like the way that those voices are whispers, like the filtering and phasing and the kind of modulation and the bastardization of the tones. And like the use of sub bass to make it sound like a horror movie soundtrack there, and just how the sound festers in the headphones there, it's just so brutal. But then how it just goes down so that it's so quiet and timid there, and it just goes in these kind of grungy, distorted guitars, bass, and drums later on with like this dusty kind of grit and kind of just tempered nature to it. It's just visceral, dude. But it's so classy at the same time and so well produced in a way where it sounds completely unclean and filthy, but it sounds professional. Like the way that they can kind of balance those two is just really remarkable. I'm blown away by the way they handle things there. And so ultimately, I think the production value is another thing that really sort of like elevates this. I think the last thing we want is to have a track where like you have this much attention to detail with the vocal and the storytelling and stuff like that, and to not capitalize on that. It's almost like it's more of an experience rather than a musical performance there, which I think is something in this day and age you need in order in part to stand out. Ethel Cain made quite a bit of a splash, though not my style of music. Apparently the attempt at something, I appreciate the attempt at something unsettling. It is. Blue Dinner Box, his biggest mistake this year so far is listening to this track first time right before sleep. Absolutely. It's definitely designed to be an experience. But I do want to sort of give a shout out to when we come into that instrument performance there with like those guitars, bass, and drums being a bit more kind of like distinct and sort of centered. You just have that, again, that filthy kind of grunge feel with the minor orient there, where it's almost kind of doomish in its approach. And I think the genre, the style choice, the chord progressions there, the tone of the actual instruments, the affectations not overcomplicating the instrumental parts and keeping the vocals as the lead point was smart, simply because, again, it knows where the attention is, and it's just simply providing another chapter within this piece that just continues to build and become more and more kind of like... it's just the sound design is the peak of it. It's just phenomenal stuff. So ultimately, I feel like this is a very unique experience. Is it something that I recommend to everyone? No, but then again, my job isn't to recommend stuff. My job is just to to listen to it and give thoughts. So incredibly effective music, very unique. Thank you to Blue Dinner Box for putting this through, and I will be right back. I know it's been a little bit chaotic. I'll try to make it less chaotic next time. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, queue now. There we go. So we're just gonna close the queue now because there's been quite few. Why can I not find thumbs up? Oh, there we go. Eh. What? Yeah. So I'm going to be closing the queue now because we've done quite a few today. I just feel like it's getting close to food time for me personally. Close to food time. But I feel it'd be good to get these remaining tracks done. We've done quite a few today, eh? So we've got, I think, how many more in the queue? 5. So we've got 5 in the queue. But we'll get those done. We'll do a good job. And yeah, I think I finished off that. So we've got a track from Jacob Good. There we go. So what does Jacob have for us today for our next review? Double Angel from Sing China. What is this one? She released a 9-track EP this year that is 89 minutes long. That's crazy. Do you feel that it was worth the listen? That 89 is a long time, dude. That's a long time for like an EP. It's very quiet. So sorry about this, guys. You might find that this is very quiet. It's just been uploaded like this, but this is the request from Jacob. It's titled Double Angel. That was Double Angel from Sing China. Apparently, according to Jacob, the song is just really fun, and to see it on mainstream TV was quite something. Yeah, absolutely. It was nice to have a kind of a middle version of it. I think that's great. Apparently, Jacob says, yep, those two were their favorite mentors, so they can choose who they hope to see reactions of the judge. Oh, I get it. I feel like if you're doing a competition like that and you didn't get the kind of response you want, it would be kind of really demotivating. But the fact that they turned around at the end was fantastic. I'm glad that they got that. And I think they got everyone in the end. If I'm not mistaken, they got everyone on board. So that was fantastic. And Blue Dinner Box says, by the way, Ethel Kane is not a real name or like a character she created, though you can tell both Ethel went through a lot. I would assume so. Yeah, I think that there is definitely some storytelling there to be able to go to the depths that they did with tracks like the previous one. Ptolemy, you know for sure some really savage kind of crazy stuff went down. So with Double Angel, I'm not sure what the track was about because I can't understand the language, but one of the things I appreciate is the contrast of the clean and the growled vocals. I just think they're just a kind of a no-brainer in terms of providing textural tonal sort of contrast within a track. I think within a shorter form factor like this, for there to be adjustment, I think if it had been like 6 or 7 minutes of this, without there being an instrumental adjustment or like tempo or so like a new chapter within the piece, it might have been a little bit too much of the same. But I think that with the shorter form factor, it worked really neatly. And because they both followed quite solid vocal technique there, both with the growls of the fry and the cleaner sort of like rapped, kind of melodic rapped parts from the other singer, I think they balanced each other well, performed well individually, and were distinct and collectively stronger for it. But it was also just like great to have that style of vocal onto a track where, especially in the competition they are in, it might not have been as common. So it's also a unique sort of like selling point, I suppose, for them as musicians to kind of have that. It's not as rare in other parts of the world, maybe, but like there it might be a bit rare. I'm not sure. I don't know enough. But either way, a fantastic choice there to do something a bit different there. And they both seem like they were. It's also the charisma, I suppose, of themselves on stage with the performance there. It looks just visceral being in stage. Again, with the fact that those 4 walls were against them. But the fact that they were giving it the role and kind of going 100% at it was just fantastic. It's just great to hear them. It was 7 years ago. Crazy. True, 2018 was 7 years ago. That was 2 years before COVID. That's wild, dude. COVID was like a year and a half to 2 years. That's crazy. We're on to bird flu now. apparently. But anyways, look, just I think it was the actual quality of vocal performance coupled with the way we structured it on top of the track with that kind of like interesting adjustment near the end there. And that kind of like an automatic kind of thing. But it was also the actual energy from a performance that they were putting forward, which was fantastic as well. It wasn't just that they were very capable, proficient as musicians, they also knew how to sort of like keep the crowd going, and they were entertaining to watch. So it's good. And then they had a sense of uniqueness about them, which I know is so generic, but it's the best way I can sort of like put it down to, aside from being like effective at what they're doing. So thank you to Jacob for putting that through. I appreciate that track. It was good to hear it. Who do we have next? We have Julius, don't we? I think. Julius. What does Julius have for us today? Okay, pin message. You want to pin that to the top just so people can read that as well. What does Julius have? Is this an original? A song my friend Pablo made. Apologies for the wait. I know there's been some waiting today with these requests. I have tried to be quick about them within reason. Yeah. Get back to the groove. But yeah, this is Pablo with photosynthesis. Let's do it. Thank you for your request, Julius. Interesting aesthetic. Great. Sorry to interrupt. I'll try not to do it too much, but just I love that movement into that main sort of melody there after the rapping part. It's just great contrast. And just having the accent with the stuck part on those strings as well, the kind of the bell, I think that's fantastic. then back to the hook. Nice. Ah, nice, classy little fade out at the end as well. Cool, cool, cool. There are two versions of the song. The video doesn't really match the song because it's for the updated version of it. This is the video over the demo MP3.
Boy, they talk about the neighborhood chef, teaching ninjas how to flip it out, black belts, boy, about my paper staple attached to my hip, school in session, just a taste of what you gonna get from me, only one.
Okay, so my take on this track from Pablo Telefonta Synthesized W10. What is this track about? It's someone talking about their own journey through school, their interactions with another, but then there's also the perspective of like schooling someone else, but then there's also the perspective of themselves sort of feeling stuck or uncomfortable in their position. So maybe it's sort of comparing ourselves to other people whilst looking at our own position and realizing how stuck we are and how we don't know how to act, they don't know how to feel, etc. So it kind of makes you think, okay, are we simply trying to communicate that if we photosynthesize, if we just kind of take the time, simply just look to lay on the grass and try and figure stuff out, that's what we have to do? That trying to sort of force our way or run away through life isn't necessarily going to benefit things? I kind of take it like that. There's the kind of fundamental of the us versus them mentality, but it's also looking at our position in life and just kind of realizing that if we need to make sort of sensible decisions and just kind of try and sort of, I suppose, sort of vibe it out potentially. But yeah, we're talking about ling on the wrist and everything like that, and other people trying to sort of like front like they're not. It'd be interesting to see the updated video of it. But for the meantime, I think that's kind of my take on it. I'd probably need another sort of like listen through to kind of get more of the nuances. But outside of that, I think what I appreciate is that we have, again, it's the going between the rapped verses into the sung chorus part where we kind of flesh it out and have contrast between those. I think if we had tried to rap the hook as well, it just would have been a bit too much, especially for a 4-minute track there. I think we needed Bling on Your Wrist, I'm Still About the G-Shock. Oh, well, there we go. So basically, Bling on Your Wrist, I'm Still About the G-Shock. So basically, we're talking about how... Is it keeping things humble? Is that it? Is it like discussing the fact that we are not trying to be more than what we are and we're trying to sort of front and stay humble? Is that it? I kind of take it as that. But I think that, again, it's a contrast between having the rap vocals and the verses plus the chorus for the sung parts as well, just having a definitive kind of hook versus the more contextual stuff. I think also having the spoken elements there were sort of like maybe emphasized that we're still trying to figure stuff out, not knowing where we are, feeling stuff, etc. is like a kind of a contrast to maybe some of the more assertive stuff we have earlier on is good. It just provides different examples. Having a different vocal texture as well kind of helps to sort of like kind of provide focus on that. I think the mixture of the different sort of drum and bass components here, fundamental to the genre, whilst also providing a great sense of groove there with the overall 16-note pace with the chord note accents there is solid, with some of the rapped components there kind of providing a sense of rhythmic cohesion there, matching those. But it's the tension and drama created by the bells, by the strings and everything like that. The kind of very kind of like punchy bass line there coming in at the tail end of those. I dig that we are trying to handle it that way. I think that you having stuff that people are familiar with, and it's not like I'm not saying that strings and stuff are alien from the style of music. It's just more that it's got a sense of groove and kind of sleekness to it. But the drama created by those other some orchestral elements there kind of makes it seem like this is a very important song and something we need to listen to. And there's a sense of urgency to it, trying to figure this out. Always makes it sort of seem kind of cinematic, like a larger than life experience there. And the fact that we have we don't have slight developments. We sort of take instrumental parts away within those verse sections there to kind of have it a bit more kind of like low key and allow more space for the rapped parts, so that they're more sort of like more perceptible in the mix. And like having the strings harmonize in the chorus section there is nice to have that kind of build in intensity overall and sort of flesh out the stereo field as well. There's clear distinction between the parts. And we have further, harmonies and like development of those string sections as we go through the track, with the understanding that we can't just have the same motif repeated. We need to kind of flesh out that 4 minutes effectively. So I think that that's good as well. If we'd had the same thing for 4 minutes, it would have been less interesting, even if the story had developed, it can sort of like developed and sort of been nurtured there. So I think having the different sectors vocally plus the continued sort of like extension with adjustments of the theme was good. And ultimately, I think typically I kind of appreciate how organic it is. I like the fact that it's simply a very kind of honest performance there, where you can tell someone's how do I say this? There's this kind of earnestness to the expression of it, where we're not trying to front or act like we're better than the person that we're sort of speaking to an like I don't know how to describe it. It's tricky. I think simply being blunt about our feelings and thoughts on this is probably another thing I appreciate here, because we could have tried to do all sorts of fancy, crazy stuff with the way it was written, or we could have tried to make it bigger than it was. But almost instantiating that existing kind of string motif there with the keys from like the starting point. Well, not immediately, but like having the strings begin things. We've got the gunshotters there as well. When you get that in the first 30 seconds and it's continued, you kind of get everything at once, and you sort of are relying on the vocals to kind of carry things forward. And I think that I don't think the song like this would have benefited from having a wide variety of different sort of twists and turns compositionally or thematically. I think having this track kind of like be stable with its chord progressions and bass lines and stuff like that allowed it, despite the adjustments instrumentally in regards to layering, is good, because it's not trying to overcomplicate itself, and allows for more sort of like clarity within the vocal performance, as well as sort of indicating that we're photosynthesizing and we haven't had any major sort of like developments till the, I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of, how do I summarize? How do I make this short? Existing theme at start till end kind of shows we haven't really necessarily gotten past this too much. It's more sort of like saying that we feel these ways and we're still working it out. And I think the idea of photosynthesizing things kind of matches with this, not being able to necessarily do too much, just kind of absorb things and kind of learn as we move on. So those are my thoughts on it. Sorry that took a long time to get through. I think there's no real complaints to this. I think if this is a demo, I feel for a demo, this is a really solid effort. I think that as we continue to sort of like polish this and kind of work out with the update version, I feel like it'll be an absolute banger, and I wish them all the best. So thank you to Gwen and Julius for this, for Pablo Photosynthesis. I'm sure with the end there somewhere there is cognizant feedback that we can use. Don't know why that broke me. It just broke me for a minute. It's all good though. I think for a song from 2014, considering the production, like the tools you have to make music in 2014 versus now, it's changed a lot. And I like the studio quality. I like the production quality of it. I've got a track from Medler. What is this track titled? Here we are. I just quit out of that accidentally. There's another track from Medler titled Taking Off. Nope, we need to put that in here. Apparently this is pure drum bass / jungle, so that should be good. Let's do it. It's interesting to have the drums taken away like that and to allow the spacer elements to come through. It's great to have those rises bring in a new section like that. It makes sense there. It's very chill, isn't it? Yeah, there's this constant push and pull between these two sections that we go between. So it's almost like we're taking off into space and we're not really going anywhere outside of that specific environment. Like, we're adding new ingredients. Cool. So that was Metal Over Taking Off. This was a similar experience to the previous track we had. It's a song where I think it's meant to represent the idea of taking off into space and sort of being surrounded by the elements. So what works with this track? I think part of it is simply that it creates this environment where it does sound like you're going through space, with the way things surround you in the stereo field, with all the different elements and sort of like synth textures and bits of percussion and stuff like that. And like the little flurries and the fact that occasionally you might go through some drum parts or some break beats or some sort of junglish elements there, but other parts you're sort of like floating, almost like you can kind of imagine going through space like that. There's this kind of like similar idea between like the root and flat second that we have at the previous track there, where we sort of really love our Phrygian mode. And it's a very easy harmonic modulation to make going between those two. And we kind of carry it for the entirety of the time. And there's fantastic attention to detail, I suppose, with the way that sort of keys are sort of like flurry and they sort of sparkle and bedazzle there. And I think in general, like if I was to comment on something more sort of like concrete, the studio production, the way things are leveled in the mix, the loudness of it, the dynamic range, the way things are filtered and EQ'd, etc., and put together is solid. I think the fact that the track works well for the 5 minutes is more of again of another kind of journey there. I think it's more developed than the previous. And there's like some interesting decisions made with the different sort of drum beats and adjustments, like those kind of glitchy kind of snare patterns there. But it sort of sounds a bit disparate and it never wants to commit to anything or feel like it's kind of landing on solid ground there, which I think again sort of fits more with the space vibe there. Even if we have a solid foundation with some of the sort of like very subtle kind of sub bass or bass response there, it's almost like if we go to the end, we have that kind of sort of shuffle there, but it doesn't feel like the adventure's over. So the studio production is tight. Structurally, I think the track doesn't have it's an instrumental, so it doesn't have a verse chorus thing. There are sort of no vocal textures or vocal samples anywhere at all. It's meant to sort of be more mysterious, and it's meant to sort of be more sort of like atmospheric. And I think it's more of a kind of an audio feast, where an oral feast, where it's kind of like you're appreciating the things, kind of like if you close your eyes and you listen to this, and the journey it takes you on, I think is fantastic. I think as a final note, it's the actual, it's the way that we understand how to build arpeggios and chord progressions and bass lines outside of the root notes and the flat seconds that we've been sort of focusing on for the lower end. It's that we get that we can have these seventh chords there and go between them if we have a similar texture communicating them. It's a satisfying loop going backwards and forwards. And it almost seems like we're kind of stuck in place, even though we're traveling, because the way things push and pull backward and forth. But that kind of, we're kind of moving forward with the groove or a grind towards things. We're floating again. It's just the way that's communicated, not just sort of compositionally with the different instrumental layers, but also with the changes in rhythm there. The fact that things kind of float or go to almost like a double time feel without the drums needing to make that blatant is really cool. So I think rhythmically it's a change between like half time and normal time. The kind of the quirky kind of uncertain nature of those seventh extensions as well, with the occasional other bits of ear candy decoration and melodies on the sides or in the center, kind of like performing as sub leads. And I think it's just, the quality, it's the sound design structure as well as the fundamentals of music theory and composition that are adhered to in order to make a piece work like this, where typically it wouldn't. Typically you would need more diversity with the chord progressions or bass lines in order to make this kind of matter. But I think it's the sound choices as well that get that kind of spacey feel where it kind of does sound like you're taking off. So I think ultimately it's very effective. Thank you to Meddler for this. I appreciate that. I feel like that was better that time. Okay, that was good. And then we have got Dr. Theo. What does Dr. Theo have for us today? Here we are. Good. Dr. Theo has Haunted by Poe. What is this one? This song made me realize that pop music sounds amazing in the year 2000. The song has not aged a second. Let's go. Let's do it. What do we got? Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, pop music did sound pretty good in the 2000s. There was a real big push for the emo stuff, like the emo all rock stuff, but there was still a lot of really cool pop music, I assume. Off of the album Haunted.
Say please, can you tell me where I am? You, won't you say something? I need to get my bearings. I'm lost, and the shadows keep on changing. And I'm haunted by the lies that I have loved and actions I have hated. I'm haunted by the lies that wove the web inside my haunted head. Don't cry. There's always a way. Here in
See that little bit of sound design there, things moving back from the right to the left. It's just kind of like intrigue. It adds intrigue to it.
in this house of leaves will pray. Please, I know it's hard to believe. See a perfect forest through so many splintered trees. You and me, and these shadows keep on changing. And I'm haunted by the lies that I have loved and actions I have hated. I'm haunted by the promises I made and others I have broken. I'm haunted by the lies that wove the web inside my haunted head.
Yeah, it really is the sound design and production that elevates it.
Want you. I'll always need you. I'll always love you. And I will always miss you. Come here. No, I won't say please. One more look at the ghost before I'm gonna make it leave. Come here. I got the pieces here. Time to gather up the splinters, build a casket for my tears. I'm haunted by the lies that I love. I'm haunted by the hallways in this tiny room, the echo there, me and you, voices that I can't resist to.
Wait, what's happening at the end? What is this? What's happening with this part, man? True, to be fair, Dr. Theo, it definitely is an outro. I was just kind of like surprised that the song completely died, kind of like finished off like that. But that's cool, man. That was Haunted by Poe. So that was an intriguing little journey that we went on, wasn't it? I do think that was really well textured. The girlie says, "Wait, how do I submit?" I'm just a little confused. So the queue is closed. The queue is closed at the moment. We've been streaming for a while now. I need to get some coffee because I am feeling tired at the moment and I need to wake up. I need to limit these live streams to 2 hours so that I do good with the feedbacks. But yeah, we may do a live stream next week. I'm not sure. We'll see how we go. Things are just pretty hectic at the moment, but I don't want to overcommit. What is this track about? Can you tell me where I am? You won't say, so when you say something, I need to get my bearings. I'm lost and the shadows keep changing and I'm haunted by the lives that I loved. Why is it? Oh, because it's here. Lives that I have loved. Don't cry. There's always, I don't like that it, like, I need to, never this house, which has hard lives to pass through so many splintered trees. The shadows keep on changing the lives that I have loved. Okay, so basically, I think that Haunted is about someone who is having difficulty with dealing with the memories that they have of things that have occurred in the past, maybe the potentials or possibilities that could have been like a reality if they'd done things differently. And I think that's something that a lot of people are going to be able to relate to. I think that it's a story that stands as old as time. So I think that's cool. I appreciate that. The actual vocal performance from Poe was tight. Honestly, like they sounded comfortable in the hidden shield's voice, their vocal range. And they, you know, like there was an interesting sort of like note at the start of the chorus there, and then they go down in their range there, and they fill this frequency spectrum really neatly. They tell the story that they need to, and the ba-da-ba-ba, that kind of melody that they sing there with a bit of onomatopoeia scat, it's a fantastic sort of like addition to it. It's an interesting way to start a song. You know, often people will just go straight into the chorus or the verse, but not with this track. They felt comfortable enough to have themselves as an instrumental layer on top of everything else that was going on there. So I think that's a good start to proceedings, you know. I mean, like, there's a lot going on there, like, instrumentally outside of the vocal performance there. I think that the combination of different guitar, bass, and drum parts there, with the acoustic kit there, very comfortable with our rolls, the snare drum is sort of cymbal fills there, very comfortable across those sort of like 8th, quarters, 16th, and triplets. And like there are some vocal overdubs that color those hooks well, really neatly. I think that's effective because the last thing you want is to have too much sort of simplicity in a track where there is room to breathe, especially when you're haunted or there's feelings of complexity. Having more going on with the instrumental arrangement there and layers there can be effective. I mean, I think there's also some interesting sort of note choices maybe outside of the diatonics there, but it's the bass line being able to move around freely and to have some sense of interactivity with the vocals there. Kind of like maybe moving either in a syncopated or on-beat direction. It just... I dig that there's color and flavor in there. It's not just the root notes there. So the drums and the bass work together really neatly, and it's the well fleshed out verse section with the guitar elements, I think, coming in more in the chorus sections to kind of add a bit of kind of color and warmth into that. But it's also the bits of sound design there. So I think from a studio production perspective there, it's these kind of things going from left to right, the spoken parts or samples at the end of the piece there. It's not just that we can record a singer and the rest of the band and kind of level and mix things well and have them nicely EQ'd and filtered and sort of spread throughout the stereo field. It's the fact that we can also create this almost sort of cinematic theatrical feel there at the end there with the stuff that's going on. And you've got like kind of little bits of wind there or the vocals instead of some sort of distortion on and stuff like that. It's very kind of uncertain and you kind of don't know what you're being sort of spaced with. And I appreciate it. Then there was a fade out. There's a classy little fade out there and you think the song's over, then boom, more stuff. And so I feel like sometimes longer form tracks work because they do little things like this, little bits of ear candy at the end. It's kind of helpful because if you're releasing a track, you send the radio station version, the one without that bit at the end, but then you leave the spoken part with the girl at the end at the for the album there, and it's kind of a little bit of extra kind of like stuff that people appreciate. And like, there's one of these songs where like you pick up an extra little element when you hear it again. There's these little intricacies and layers within there that you kind of, it's a multi-listen song for sure. There's a lot of nuance and sort of like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff to appreciate here. So overall, I think it's a really competent vocal performance with a really well fleshed out instrumental piece there that is written in a way where we don't just have we have some sort of more kind of accessible, friendly, kind of warm sounding progressions there, but there's also a bit of kind of like coldness and uncertainty in those verse sections there with some of those chromaticisms within the arpeggios or harmonies. It's a track that's kind of complicated and it mirrors the haunted stuff that they're talking about. So ultimately, I mean, the studio production, recording, mixing, mastering is fantastic as well, especially the sound design components there and the fanning of certain elements, but just really blown away by this. Fantastic effort. Thank you to Dr. Theo for putting this track through. I appreciate it. It's really cool, man. Honestly, I haven't heard of Poe, but they're a great musician. And hopefully they got to make a lot more really cool music. But the last track for today is from Dinahey. Thanks for your request. What do we have from Dinahey today? It is crazy that the song came out in the early 2000s. It is, absolutely. I think that what we really need in this day and age is for people to understand that there was amazing stuff in all decades, and just because a lot of the stuff that you've heard the most of might be sort of generic sounding doesn't mean that all of it was. There have just been people doing really cool stuff with the ideas for a long time, and I just enjoy the fact that, you know, like, it's cool. I feel like that's just a basic thing to say, but you get people going like, oh, the 2000s were this, the 2010s were that. Yeah, I think, to be fair, the production feels modern because it's kind of a weird thing. I'd say that if we were in the mid-2010s, I don't know if it would have felt modern, but I think nowadays with like mid-2020s production, people are trying to sort of get back to roots to a certain extent. They're trying to not only polish to an extent where it's like perfect, but then they're pulling back to a point where there's a little bit of kind of like grit to it. It was something they tried to do in the 2010s, even though there's a lot of electronic stuff going on, but they really committed to it at this point, I think now. So I completely understand what you're talking about. But this is from Dinahey, the last track for today from Lofi, titled Tough Luck.
I can tell that you're
Now that's interesting. They have the chords in this. They have the chords in this so that you can sing along to it if you want to. Or play guitar or piano along to it.
turn gray, you beg me to be silent. You said I can't read your mind, but I'm reading it just fine. You think you're so misunderstood, the black cat of your neighborhood. Tough luck, my boy, your time is up. I'll break it first. I've had enough of waiting till you lie and cheat, just like you did to the actress before me. Oops, she doesn't even know you won't be.
That little run there was phenomenal. The little run there, the little vocal run she did before was phenomenal. I'm only saying this because of the fact that the captions don't always capture it.
Since we're spilling secrets, does your mother even know? You demoralized, effaced me just to feed your frail ego. When you're screaming at the TV, cussing out opposing football teams, you said I'd never understand the things that make a man a man. Tough luck, my boy, your time is up. I'll break it first. I've had enough of waiting till you lie and cheat, just like you did to the actress before me. Oops, she doesn't even
A wonderful. Dude, she's phenomenal, man. She's phenomenal, dude. I love her music.
Time is up, I'll break it first. I've had enough of waiting till you lie and cheat, just like you did to the actress before me. Ooh, she doesn't even know. You won't be missed. I'm glad to see you go.
Damn, that's crazy, dude.
Can tell.
I know that's such a generic kind of, wow, that was a crazy song, you know, but that was amazing. I love it. Need something light to balance out. Well, Blue Dinner Box, we have that here. I think so. I would love, once I find a house, to just do album reviews on Sundays. Because at the moment, I'm spending my Sundays looking at houses. And I would much rather be listening to albums on Sundays than looking at houses, you know. But it's just a little gentle reminder that I do enjoy doing album reviews. And that's the house thing is part of the reason why I don't do many of them as I used to. It's honestly been why I stopped doing live album reviews, is because I was like, okay, I need to get a house because otherwise I'm going to be renting for the rest of my life because of the way New Zealand's property market is. You know, it's just everything's turning into just townhouses at this point. It's just not good, and you need land for a studio. Anyway, enough about that. What do I think this track is about? Tough Luck, I assume Laufey is discussing her ex and just how she just is just sick of his shit. And she just is being open and honest about it. And it's just tough luck because she has the platform to speak about this. She's not saying his name, but I'm sure people can put two and two together. And it's brutal. It's a hell of a diss track. If it was that kind of music, you know? And I think that part of what I appreciate about this is just how blunt Laufey is. Just the way we call things out at the end. We use the F word. We're just so personable. We're clearly capable of singing like just an absolute virtue. Like, they're virtuosic. I wish you luck with finding an apartment, by the way, Blue Dinner Box. I genuinely do. But you know, Laufey is virtuosic with the way that they sing. And I adore the way that we can just simply kind of go away from the technicality of it and move into something being sort of like calling out. And we managed to find a way to put that technique into our approach there in a way where I think it balances out that bluntness like really neatly. I think another way, what I dig about this is that it's not just a variety of ways that we communicate on the microphone. It's also how the music, I think, suits the way that Laufey is singing. It's very, very delicate at the start. There's little piano, little string plucks and little keys on the piano there. It's very kind of like respectful of the fact that we're keeping things down low. You know, we add some sort of palm muted guitar strums that would go along there to kind of elevate things a little bit, but it's not too much. And you know, there's like little kind of subtle kicks and stuff as we go forward. We're kind of building and building, and that's a gradual development of a piece where we're trying to get to a conclusion. And these wonderful vocal harmonies as we go through structurally, they just the stereo field explodes with this vibrant, phenomenal goodness there, and it's just this warmth, and then we just blunt with the delivery. We just snap in it. You're out of luck. And we are more assertive at this point. So we're changing our characterization at this point. And the music is like put into a chord note groove there where we're sort of like putting our foot down a little bit. We are getting to the point where we're kind of escalate. And we have like these quarter note kicks and snare patterns there, which are unusually, they're aggressive compared to what a lot of stuff that comes through from Lofi. And I think they managed to put the style of music they do, the kind of more kind of jazzy, low key, orchestral kind of like string element stuff, the arrangements there, in a way where it almost came across as a bit rocky and a bit poppy. Like if you had guitars there, you could have been very kind of like that, but they wanted to keep it their way whilst communicating that. So I think having that heaviness there with the strings and that was fantastic. It's really good. Really good stuff. And I think finally what I want to sort of communicate is the fact that the harmonies, the extensions within those chord progressions that they're shown on the screen, these are difficult chords. These are unconventional, rare chords to find in modern pop music. But as Blue Dinner Box says here, saw a comment today, most people think she made jazz accessible for greater audience, but she also made jazz lovers like pop again. That is absolutely... That's an incredible comment because it's so true. Like, just up until like the mid 2010s, just jazz was like its own sort of thing for a lot of the time. Like jazz was really popular in the 1930s, 1920s, 1930s, 1940s. Then rock and roll came around. It became less of a thing. And as we went into the 60s, 70s, 80s, jazz became more of a kind of a niche thing. It existed. People still liked it, but it was rarer. And it was more kind of its own sort of like facet. And now with musicians like Lofi bringing it in, it is a bit more kind of mainstream and a bit more kind of like, it's nice to bring people together. And I feel like it's good that we managed to branch that in a way where we can kind of all agree that Lofi is just doing a tremendous job either way. So I think as a final note, it's not just the quality of the vocal performance, which is almost like a given with Lofi's work. It's not just that the music sort of suits the vocal styles and we have a fantastic structural attention to detail in that regard and a great chemistry, but it's also that there is an amazing sort of like accessible complexity to the harmonies which insinuate the mood that we want, whilst showing some ninths forward and some really kind of beautiful, pretty kind of upper range chords there that sparkle. And there are some sort of like parallels, I think parallel major and minors. And it's just a wonderfully textured track that has a heaviness with the strings that is sort of unconventional, and I adore it. So no complaints about this one. That's Lofi with Tough Luck. And thank you to Dinahe or Blue Dinner Box for putting this track forward. I'm now going to be honest with you guys. I think I'm a little bit out of practice. I need to... I need to be quicker with these. And so I just want to sort of say, for any of you that have watched until this point, I apologize for taking so long with some of these feedbacks. Next time I will make a coffee before I go onto these live streams so that I am more succinct with my thoughts, and I look forward to that. But I just want to thank everyone today who put stuff forward. We had tracks from Jacob Good, Sweetly Love, Dr. Theo, Medler, Gail, Bill Guo, Denahay, Pablo, and Medler, and Dr. Theo and Denahay again. I will do better next time to try and be more succinct with my feedback. But thank you very much for watching my review of these tracks from y'all, the requests, and thank you to everyone who came to hang out as well outside of the requests. Hopefully you guys enjoyed some of the music today and found a new track that you liked. If you did, please to go show these musicians some love via their various social medias and their YouTube and Spotify pages. Stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as need to help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. It's not stopping, is it? Please remember to go show your local musicians and artists some love via their Go show your local musicians some love. Support them. They need it. Stay and have a fantastic weekend. Stay cool, shredders. Spiderhands out. I'm gonna go get some food and rest up for next time. See you later, shredders. Spiderhands out. 3, 2,